I know how it must be. You just admire any guy who didn't have to stand outside and wait in the rain to get in. I thank you. That's very nice of you today, because this is lousy weather, and so... Did they let you come in early? That's the network with a heart, all right. This is the Tonight Show, the pothole on the road to sermonette. And this is also the program that brings you sophisticated words that even William F. Buckley doesn't use. Words like xylitol, cholesterol, psoriasis, diarrhea. I was just looking. You look so nice tonight. I never get a chance to look at you. Hey, I was just in the newsroom. The latest NBC News poll shows that 40% of Californians support the Panama Canal Treaty, 25% oppose it, and 35% believe the canal has been moved to Los Angeles. We are on a roll out here that is not particularly good. The big rains were about 3 weeks ago. Then we had a few days that were nice. Been raining the last 2 days. You know what the latest weather report is? It's supposed to rain tomorrow and also on Friday. Another storm coming in. And it's wet out there, folks, I want to tell you.
How wet is it?
It was worth standing in line for, wasn't it? It was so wet out there today, a motorcycle cop gave a house a ticket for going too slow on the freeway. It was so wet, I saw a zebra at Earl Shive's getting a new stripe job. I mean, it's really... No, it is wet. Here at NBC, a rainbow formed in Tom Snyder's hair. You know, if this rain keeps up, that gambling may become legal in Los Angeles? Because we'll be outside the 3-mile limit. Well, the cows will be in a moment. What is this? I know a lot of you are probably out here on vacation. We, from time to time, give you a tips for tourists so you don't get unscrupulously ripped off while you're out here. And here is tonight's tip for you tourists. If you're walking along Hollywood Boulevard and a man tries to sell you tickets to the Queen Tut exhibit, see, no authentic mummy has ever been discovered wearing a caftan. A lot of people don't know that, and they're getting away with that. It's kind of a slow news day today, which makes it kind of a slow joke day. No. It's too much. The U.S. Treasury is planning to issue a new dollar coin. Are you familiar with that? Yeah, the Treasury claims it's cheaper to mint new coin dollars than it is to paper. Well, no. You see, the fact is that paper wears out quickly. Coins last forever. They say, I can save the government a lot more money if they're looking for new dollar coins. Just declare the quarters dollars, because that's what they're worth now. You see, and then they don't... I seem to be ready to fire on myself. I seem to have a gun on me, don't I? You notice right in the middle of the joke, I knew I was... It's like going down the rapids and a small hole forms in your canoe, and you know that it's going to fill up before you... I did mention the Panama Canal earlier, didn't I? Okay, well, I'll get back to that, because the Senate is moving very slowly on that treaty. There's a lot of controversy about it. Controversy. Stuff like that. Or something like that. You know what the word is I'm trying to use. And controversy, right. And a lot of more conservative senators are riding on or tacking on a lot of their... I don't know what the hell they're doing back there, but it's very tricky is what it is. And they're tacking not tacking. I'll get it out in a minute. Look, we got a long time here. They're tacking on all kinds of amendments, you see, to slow it up. For example, here are some of the amendments they're trying to put on. For example, in the year 2000, if there should be any trouble, Ronald Reagan automatically becomes president. That's one of the... If a war should break out, there's another amendment. The U.S. reserves the right to hide a neutron bomb on every Panama hat. That one probably won't go through. If Panama should close the canal for any reason, we have the right to deport all of their baseball players. That's another amendment that, Okay. You know they haven't found Bubbles yet? You know who Bubbles is? Bubbles is the 2,000-pound hippopotamus that escaped from Lion Country Safari last week, and they have not found her yet. And they know where she is, but they can't find her. She's in a pond, and officials are trying to coax her out by using a sexual lure. They ask, no, it's true, they're asking Burt Lance to stand on the shore nude, and play the mandolin. So, that's right. We signal them when the joke is over. I should tell you, Merv Griffin has got another one of his fabulous theme shows on tonight that only Merv does with such style and wit. Merv's theme show tonight, he's got John Ehrlichman, John Mitchell, H.R. Haldeman, Richard Nixon, and the Shell Answer Man, and they're all going to sit around. They're going to sit around and discuss lube jobs. So we'll be with you in just a moment. Oh, hold it. I forgot to mention.
That's it.
What?
When you go into the backswing, that's
it, huh? Don Rickles is with us. Great science fiction writer Ray Bradbury. And from Charlie's Angels, Cheryl Ladd is with us. Okay. We'll be right back. Yeah. You follow this. You know what I've got here?
I see it. I don't read it, but I've seen it.
Do they do this in other papers around the country? This is in the Los Angeles Times. I think they do this once a week. And it gives you the plots of all the soap operas that are on television. A capsule summary of what is happening, I guess, for that week.
Right.
I've never seen it in any other paper. Do they do this around other parts of the country?
No.
Do you read these?
No.
They're hysterical. I'm going to give you some of the plots this week. The doctors. Now, this is what goes on in the daytime. Pressured by Billy, Greta consulted Dr. Portnow about abortion, but learned she needs parental consent. Hugh McCloskey asked Jason to run for the state Supreme Court. Tom returned home to MJ and Ricky. Barney and Virginia lost their chance at buying a candy store. Doreen and Colin discovered they live in the same building. That's what's happening in this week. On the guiding light, Ed and Mike came to verbal blows after Ed ordered Bill to return to Vancouver and stay out of the Bowers' lives. Bert informed Steve she's seeking a divorce from Bill. Max's story broke. Justin was replaced as head of cardiology by Emmett. Brandy eased the pain. On Love of Life this past week, Arlene pulled a turn about marrying Tom. She ran to Ray and agreed to apply for a marriage license with him after he assured her that he could accept Lan's child. Meg taunted Michael about Cal. Vanessa tried to act brave in face of impending widowhood. Did you know these things happen? In Ryan's Hope, listen to this one. Tom explained to Faith that Liam is seeking blood retribution because Tom is blamed for the accidental death of Tom's teen lover, Liam's sister. Tom is an illegal alien. Frank warned Ray not to advise about his relationship with Jill, who admitted she loved Seneca before Seneca underwent surgery. Another world. Rachel returned home after the bandages were removed, and she is slowly regaining her sight. Elena refused to help Liz break up Russ and Gwen. Gwen fretted that her own disapproving mother would arrive and stop the wedding. Regine and Cliff were offered a wedding in the Corey mansion. Alice was suspicious after Willis fell for Angie and Vince's jealous trap. Dennis moved out of Iris's. Does that make sense to people who follow that? You know what's going on? In General Hospital, this is a little sticky here. Leslie fretted when Laura disappeared, which I guess is what you do when you fret. Laura later called and reconciled with Les. Katie told Mark she wants to divorce Lamont, who has changed his mind about Mark since his own recovery. Maria threatened to expose Monica as one of Greg's mistresses during Maria's legal battle with Gail. During Laura's absence, Scotty succumbed to Barbara's charms. Man, and they talk about what goes on in
Yeah.
prime time. This is in the daytime.
Unbelievable.
Those are the soaps going
It's
on.
funny how you can see something in the paper and never really read it, because I've seen that headline. That's the first time I ever read the whole thing.
It is right there.
It's all in one, it covers everything in that one
Newspaper.
column. That's great.
Right.
I'm glad you brought that in. I wish you'd bring that in every week, because I don't have a chance to see these shows. It's nice to get caught up on them, boy. You just have to read that, you know what's going on. Everything in the world you'd ever want to know about a soap opera is in that column.
You are wrong, Detergent Brett. I'll tell you what.
More? There's others?
We have some soap operas that are coming up
That have not been
that
covered.
have not been covered, for example, that you may not know about, that also have some rather strange plots. For example, a new show, All My Perverts. When the doctor informs Clyde he has only 35 seconds to live, Clyde calls his travel agent and cancels his vacation at the Thousand Islands. Arthur confesses to Valerie that he's a mafia informant, and that's why, to avoid being discovered by hitmen, he has disguised himself as an Avon lady with a mustache. Dolores accepts a collect call from an obscene caller and tells him from now on to phone after 6 and on weekends when the rates go down. That is a lump of life. Lump of life. Here's the plot of this. Susan is concerned when her 13-year-old daughter is voted Miss Congeniality by a truck drivers union out of Encino. Eyebrows are raised when Ken checks into a local motel with no luggage and a 20-pound watermelon. Meanwhile, Nurse Williams is suspended when 4 cans of Ready Whip are found in her physical therapy kit. Here's a new soap opera, What's Happening, Man? I don't know whether you're familiar with this or not. Tom and Luke are thrown out of Harvard Medical School when it discovered they are black. Mary, in love with one of them, doesn't know which one. A local telethon raises money for Peggy, who lapsed into a coma after drinking 130 Bloody Marys without tomato juice. Luke convinces himself he is rightful king of Liechtenstein and asks for federal aid. I like these. These could be
these
hits.
are good.
The Young and the Impotent. It's coming up soon, folks. Sarah desperately needs money and offers herself to an old roue for $1,000. She settles for $20. Harold, addicted to 9 Lives tuna, breaks into Tom's apartment and steals his cats so he can smell their breath. Al opens up a dress boutique for transsexuals. General Circus. This is the story of a hospital that treats only carnival freaks. And in the opening episode, a contortionist, while twisting his body around, has a heart attack and dies in his own arms. Love of accidents. They're going to try. Marcia, Louise's roommate, is raped by Phil's grandfather. Grandfather dies during the attack, and Phil blames Martha, refusing to take grandfather's body out of her apartment. Marcia gets even by stealing Phil's inflatable rubber woman. And there's the last one called Big City Hospital, which is the life of Dr. Frank Yutzman and the behind-the-scenes action of a big city hospital. In the opening episode, several years ago, Dr. Yutzman delivered a set of Siamese triplets. And now he faces the delicate task of telling Manny, Mo, and Jack that one of them is adopted. This situation is further complicated by the fact that Manny is getting married to a girl, Fran, who is also one of Siamese triplets. The problem rises when it is noticed that Fanny is on the end and Fran is in the middle. It's a very, very tough show. Those are few. Look, they're no wilder than these. No wilder than these. Oh, we got a good show tonight. We got Don Rickles with us, one of the best science fiction writers ever in the world. Ray Bradbury and Cheryl Ladd will be with us. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. My first guest tonight, I'm sure everyone is familiar with, unless you have had your eyes closed the past several months. She is the beautiful new addition of one of television's most popular shows, Charlie's Angels. And Cheryl will also be a featured performer in the television special that Ben Vereen is doing tomorrow night on, as they say. Who's always they?
The folks upstairs.
They seem to, as they say, as I said, on another network. Would you welcome, please, Miss Cheryl Ladd. Isn't that nice to hear all that?
Sure is. Can I come out and do that again?
I think that's why we probably all get in this business. You know, you get
It feels
applause,
real
and
good.
you get that reaction, and what you're doing, people enjoy.
Yeah.
You know, when we booked you on the show, somebody said to me, says, do you remember when she was on before? I said, Cheryl Ladd hasn't been on this show before. They said, yes, she was. And I was ready to put a good-sized bet down. And then somebody mentioned a name. And I said, now, I remember that name very well because we discussed the problems you were having with the
Yes,
name,
we
right?
did, yes.
Now, what was it, about 3-4 years ago?
It was in 73,
1973.
and I came out and I was introduced to Cheryl Stoppelmore, which is my maiden name.
Cheryl
And you
Stoppelmore.
said Stoppelmore.
Cheryl Stoppelman.
And,
Stoppelman.
And we talked about that.
Right.
And I did a song, and it's been a long time.
And look what's happened to in your life. You've had a fantastic. It's been a big change, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. It's
I suppose you
nice
got-
to be working.
Yeah, I suppose you get tired of all those questions saying how did it feel to go in and replace Farrah and so forth, but it caught on and everybody loves you and.
Yeah,
are
I'm
you-
real happy about
Yeah.
that.
Are you girls jealous at all of each other? Is
Of
there a little-
course. No.
I would just
No, we're
wanted
not.
somebody to say yes. I hate them both. Can't get along at all.
I think a lot of people would, of course, like to think that we don't get along, but
Well, that makes good press.
yeah,
You know, that's why
it
I'm
makes
sure.
a good story. But the truth is that we have a lot of fun together.
Yeah.
And they're both. I'm sure met both the girls,
Yeah.
and they're terrific
They're lovely
ladies.
gals.
And we have a lot of fun.
But you see, that doesn't make a good story, does it, for the press?
No,
To say that all is
they
well,
go-
well on the
No,
set
we
and
don't
all the
hear that.
girls love each other and so forth. Did they try to get you into those questions when they talk to you, like there's
Always.
something going on behind the scenes?
Always. I always say, "Oh, is that my child calling me?" I always try and get out of it.
What kind of fan mail do you get in the average week?
I get some very interesting fan mail.
I can imagine. I can imagine. What is the age range
I got-
of the fellows who I imagine mostly it's from guys?
No, not at all. I got just a cross section. I got a letter the other day from a man, 52 years old,
Oh,
married.
that's, I'm 52.
Are you?
Yes, and married. You're embarrassing me. You're bringing up my letter, but. All right, the guy was 52 and married. Now, what did he say? What did
No,
he
you
want?
cared.
Yes.
Oh,
What did he say?
He was lovely. Said he never misses the show. Watches it all the time. Big fan. More bathing suits, that sort of thing. And I got letters from 12-year-old girls saying, you know, how do you do your hair and all of that. And
Can I ask you one question
Mm-hmm.
before I continue? When you said I got this letter the other day from a 52-year-old man, I got the feeling that you thought he was just this side of going to the motion picture country home. That's been bothering me ever since.
not true.
I
not
guess it's
true.
just because you happen to hit my age. And I said, my God, what's wrong with
I'll
52?
straighten
I
this
thought,
out.
52 is pretty groovy.
I'll straighten this out right now. Ladies and gentlemen, have
You
you
mean
ever met a
old guy?
more handsome 52-year-old man?
What a nice cop-out. What a nice bailout. Anyway, so you hit a 52, yes, a 52-year-old man. And a 12-year-old?
Yeah, I got a cross-section. I mean, everybody writes to me, which is really nice.
How many proposals? Although you're the only one of the gals on the show that's really married, right?
Not a lot of proposals.
Yeah, because I guess most people know that you are
Yeah, married
married
and
to
a
David
mother.
Ladd,
And
right?
David is my husband.
You send out pictures all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you answer? And you really don't have to answer, but it's interesting because, as you know, a lot of the, let's say critics, for lack of a better word,
Okay.
have said it's really kind of a voyeur show. People look in, and even some of the women's lib group says, well, they're just making the girls sex objects. They're dressing them in scanty clothes and bikinis and bathing suits, and therefore it's nothing more than just really kind of a peep show. And
Do you watch our show?
I have nothing against girls in bikinis.
I mean, obviously a lot of people here watch the show.
Sure.
It's a terrific show. And what is terrific about it as far as females are concerned, these three ladies have very strong moral fiber. These three ladies are fighting crime. These three ladies also wear scanty clothes and
While they're fighting
have
crime.
new hairdos. And that's what the show is. And I don't know how to tell you except that
Hey, if they asked you to wear something on the show that you felt uncomfortable or doing a scene that you thought was maybe
Yes.
a little too
yes, but
sexy.
not because it was too sexy, but because I didn't feel it was particularly right for my character, Chris, who is sort of the comedy relief in the show, who doesn't do a lot of the things right. Chris does get into those kind of outfits.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but you've heard those comments
It's
too.
okay.
But no, come back here. Look, slip into your bikini and come right back here. We'll be right back. Hi, this is the old man.
Yes. My.
Howdy, this is a 52-year-old man.
Oh, I'm never going to let you off the hook for that. Never. How old is your child?
She's 3.
Does she watch? When she sees you on television, does she know at that age? Well,
Yeah, she watches everything
Yeah?
that I do. So many of our friends and our old friends are, making it and happening now. And
Yeah.
she sees so many people in our living room on television all the time that she's so blasé
just
about
accepts
it.
it. Part of your life.
She watches The Wizard of Oz, the movie The Wizard of Oz, 5 and 6 times a day. I mean, she comes downstairs nude in my high heels saying, you like my ruby slippers. I mean, she is just crazy about The Wizard of Oz.
Television at that age, I wonder if they can separate the reality from fiction.
Dorothy's very real to her.
Yeah.
She wants Dorothy to be the new maid.
Oh. Why not? You grew up out here in Los Angeles, right?
No.
You did?
In South Dakota, you know.
Oh, Huron, South
That's
Dakota.
right.
South Dakota girl.
Yeah.
Did you want to come out here?
First thing I ever wanted. was
Really?
Out.
You had the... no, you
I didn't mean that South
No,
Dakota.
no, you-
I
oh,
didn't
you'll
mean
pay
that
for
South
that.
Dakota. I only mean because I just phoned back there. And they have not had a thaw in 60 days. It has been, Dad said, well, it was nicer today. It was 5 below. And, I mean, I
People
said,
don't
I
understand,
knew
'cause
I got
grew
out
up
of
in
the
Nebraska, and people don't understand when they live out here and say you've had 40 straight days where it hasn't been above maybe 15 or 20 degrees.
Yeah.
And
It hurts. It's so cold.
you get cabin fever. You're going to be on the Ben Vereen show when,
Yes.
tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night.
Now, you sang on the show before when you were here. Or did you sing on the show tomorrow?
I do. It's there is no talk. There are no skits. It's all
Right.
music, singing, and dancing. A special number written for Ben and I to do together about 2 kids struggling in New York going to classes, which we both did a lot of, and trying to make it and going on auditions and having disappointments and not making it.
When are you going to come out with your poster? Now, that's a big thing now.
Oh, my poster's out.
Have you got a poster out?
Yeah.
I haven't
Everybody
seen-
have my poster?
Is it? Well, you never said
It's
mine.
not
You
in
got my
LA.
letter.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it out here. But is it out?
It is out.
Now, those are big
I thought it
sellers,
was in
aren't
LA.
they? Have you seen it, Fred?
Well, it's terrific. It has. See, I'm in this.
What are you wearing in the poster?
I am in a black. Is it black? A black top and some red running shorts. Windblown, very healthy, all-American Coca-Cola. Not too much.
You do have that healthy all-American face.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No skin.
What are you going to do with... You ever have to... You actually shoot guns on the show? Do you have to do that?
Oh, yes, I do. I had to learn how to surf. I had to learn how to ice skate. I had to do
Because
a
it's an
magic
athletic
act.
show. Yeah, you do a lot of things.
A magic act. Someday I'll do it for you. Well, maybe when you're 53. I didn't mean it. I don't know why you pick on me about that. I really didn't
I
mean
know
it that
you
way.
didn't.
I think you're.
It's all right. I'm certainly not jealous about it.
No, I had to
Bother
shoot
me.
this gun in the show, and I had never shot a gun in my life. I mean, I had no idea what a gun was, and so the prop master took me out between the 2 sound stages, and he loaded it up, and he says, "Okay, go." And I thought, hey, nothing to it. I watched Starsky and Hutch, and I got in the position, and I pulled the trigger. I heard this blood-curdling scream, and it was me.
Oh, you were...
I was
Never fired a gun before.
terrified. It's loud. And then between the sound stages, it was really loud, and then it jerks, and it does all sorts of things you don't know that it's going to do.
Plan to stay with the show for as long as it runs?
That's right. It's a good show.
And pictures?
I'm learning a lot.
Yeah.
It's a terrific experience.
It is, especially because you're down there. You put in long days, don't you?
Yeah, I get up at about 5:30 or 6 in the morning and work till 7, 8 at night.
Yeah, thank you for coming tonight. Tomorrow night is the special with Ben Vereen, and I know you have to leave early tonight. And thanks for coming. And send me the poster, will you?
I will. You all too.
Put it up in my den at home.
That'll teach me.
It's my Jim Neighbors poster. Thanks for coming.
Good night.
She's a nice young lady.
Yes, very nice. No. My golly. It's all relative.
Of course it is. Well, you have a birthday coming up soon, don't you?
Monday, yes.
And people would not know, looking at you, that
They
you're
wouldn't? Are you sure?
well into your late 60s. We'll take a short break and return. We are back. Well, what can I say about Rickles that I haven't said before?
Yeah. Best not to offend him before he comes out.
Mr. Warmth,
Yes.
as I dubbed him some years ago. I've known Don for 17, 18, about 20 years, I guess. And he, as you well know, is the star. He told me in the hall, he said, I am the star of CPO.
CPO.
That just gives him something to get. CPO Sharkey. It's seen here, as far as we know, on NBC Friday nights at 8:30.
Yes.
And on top of that, he will be opening at the Sahara Hotel in Las Vegas on March the 9th. Yes, well, I open there this Friday night, day after tomorrow, just for 2 days, Friday and Saturday. Would you welcome, who was he?
Don.
Don Rickles.
Look at this. He shot a bear and made an outfit.
Thank you.
Oh,
Fine, thank you, Don. Nice
you
to
know
see
what
you.
that is? That's ultra suede.
Oh, good. Well, how long have you had this?
I was waiting for you to sit down.
Oh, I thought it was an arthritis attack. I didn't know.
I always wait for my guests to sit first.
sit down.
There you are.
Going to strap me in, or can I talk first? Bob Newhart on an airplane. We're up. Hi, John.
Thank
How are
you,
you?
thank you.
Thanks so much for the CPO Sharkey plug. You're just a sweetheart. The way you make my career roll right along. I've known you now. How many years do we know each other?
Well, at least 18, 19 years, something
And I'm
like
fed
that.
up. Started me in the old days in New York, in Basin Street East. We
That's
go back
right.
that far.
That's right.
And you hung around New York and ran to every club in town. Buddy Rich is your idol, I understand.
Well, we've made a few rounds.
Yeah, you, Buddy Rich, and all those days. And Ed, you weren't there then. You were in Jersey with your wife saying, "Want more taffy?" And how's Victoria, your
Fine,
lovely
she's
wife?
fine, thank
She's
you.
got a lovely wife.
Yes,
11.
she does.
She's 11, isn't she? 11 years old. I found her yesterday in the park going, "Where's my Eddie? Where's my Eddie?" I married a nice, conservative, Jewish,
Yes.
lovely girl.
Lovely bar.
Some 40, whatever. She don't like to bring up the age, but it's starting to show. The neck is starting to hang a little bit. Gets up in the morning with the robe on. You got to tell it like it is, John. Well, you're married to Joanna, but I don't, you guys have had problems in life.
What do you mean problems?
Well, hey, you guys have been to battle a lot of times, I took one shot at the big sky, and scored. Wife just laid there and went, it's Halloween. Anyway,
But you didn't get married. You're what, 37, 38?
what do you mean I didn't get married?
I mean, you
what
got
am I, a
married.
Mau Mau fighter pilot? Of course I got married.
But you waited till you were 37 or 38.
Of course I want to go through what you did, Your Honor. And I say, is this man unkind? Don't be nervous, guys. I'm between two guys. Hey, but you got to find yourself. See, you came out of Nebraska. You came out of Jersey. You were young, mixed up, confused. I was in heat 24 hours a day. I used to go on the highway and go, I'm lonely. Help me, anybody. A monkey, a dog, a rabbit, anybody, help me.
I remember you back there.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
were chasing...
Singers. I always went for
You
singers.
did. I remember the names of some.
That was my big... No, let's not bring up names. That's, you know, you make a little trouble when you bring up names.
Okay.
Because I could bring up a couple of things about you and you'd be in court again.
You
Your
don't
Honor.
have... Never mind that. I'm not...
Ed's sitting there laughing, going, oh, I hope you don't bring up any names. See, Johnny can handle it better than you. He acts casual here. You folks don't know this man. I tell you about the inside of both these guys. They sit out here like it's blood brothers. Blood brothers. Blood brothers. They love each other. Oh, cochisa, suck wrist. Blood brothers. Then the show's over. See you later, Charlie. But America I keep walking around like I'm lonely. But America doesn't know. These guys, when you work together, you don't see each other that much. Although I heard you went out to see Buddy Rich together.
Yes, we go out occasionally.
I get my, you know, you go out, you called me a few times, you said, don't tell Johnny. Well, Johnny has two groups. You and I have the basic people. He has the A group. He's like Sinatra now.
Oh, yes.
He and Joanna sit with Gregory Peck. Greg? Greg? I'll tell Frank about you, though. Sinatra likes you.
Yeah.
You know, it's a strange thing. You've been in Sinatra's company many times. You've asked your wife, Joanna, to say, introduce me to Frank. And Frank always stood in the corner and went, oh, I want to meet. And Frank doesn't talk like that. That's the guy behind him. Of course, he always has a lot of Italian guys around. I only talk about Sinatra mainly because he's been so very kind to me. You know what he did? Did you get invited to Israel
Yes.
by Frank?
Yes.
It's on the list. Never figured he was on the... Were you invited?
Yes.
Then what good is the trip?
There are 500 people.
Two Gentiles and the only Jew on the trip.
All of these people were invited. They're in the audience.
I thought it was a big deal. Then Frank invited everybody. That's right. Then forget it. Havana, Gila, Havana. No, it'll become a rally and then we'll have to raise money.
Have you ever... You've been to Israel, haven't you?
Yes.
You have been to Israel.
It will take your breath away. It is magnificent.
That's what I
And I went
understand.
with Newhart, and you know.
Oh.
Bob is German-Irish, a good Catholic, the best Catholic in the world, as you are a good Catholic. You trip once in a while, but sometimes when the priest wanted to hit you with the water, he went, nah, better not. Anyway, I love on Easter when you guys eat those cookies.
Oh,
No, don't worry about it. The Almighty laughs. He has a sense of humor. Of course. I'm a Jew. I have nothing to fear. Laugh. I feel like Bradbury Crawford in a bad movie. Look at the notes once in a while.
I don't
and find
care
out what
about
the...
them. No, I've
Look at
known you
this.
2 years.
A kidnap. Look at this. The man has fan mail. Dear John, I'm 11. I'm lonely. Help me.
It was a letter I was going to read earlier, and I didn't
This
get around.
night, February 21st, you explain... May I read this?
I have to explain what it's about, because it's
then I'd rather not read it.
rather
It's
serious.
crossed out here like, I'm locked in a cabin, find me.
How long has your show been on now? Sharky. Is this the first season?
Hey, I can't believe it. No, the second.
Second season.
We're rolling. You kidding? 3 executives at NBC went, it's on twice? But I am delighted with the show. We got a great cast, and I am just proud of the darn thing because the Navy, I was in the Navy, you were in the Navy, you were an ensign.
That's right.
And you were?
Colonel.
Colonel.
What were you?
Hi, Colonel. What was I? I was a seaman first class, kissing your you-know-what.
Seaman first class in what division? What was yours?
What division? What division? Well, the division was painting.
You know what I'm talking about.
What
Were-
division? All of a sudden, he became a chemist.
Were you in-
What division
were you
was
in-
the basis of your Navy career?
Were you in gunnery, communication?
Gunnery? No. We didn't have, in those days, as you know, we didn't have radar. There was no radar. Ed, you up?
Yes.
There was no radar.
No radar.
You were a fighter pilot, right?
Yes, sir.
How did they get him in a cockpit?
Are you in, Ed? Come on, Ed. I'm in. Battle stations, I'm in. Let me get the cockpit. Hey,
Did we hit? Are we over Guadalcanal? Ed, you're fat, and get out of my life.
What were you in the Navy?
I was a seaman first class in the Navy. I went over the side of the ship. I had a coxswain. Navy expressions. That's right. And he was a guy that was in charge of the deck crew. And he went, all hands, all hands. Put that down close to me. The boom man, the one with the hearing problem. 40 million boom men, we got to get Johnny Ray's uncle. No, come here.
All hands, all hands. All hands are going on.
And the whole crew went, what?
You're hot. On a roll. We'll be right back. We are back, and we're talking with Donald Rickles.
We kid around. You know, you know what? I don't know why I get very. I said to Shirley Wood, one of your staff, and who's been with you for years,
Yeah.
and you had, we go back to Rockville Center, New York, when I used to come on and just perspire for the sake of perspiring, you know. Malaria was, forget about it, a disease that I had automatically. And I realize now that we know each other 14 years or more.
At least.
And you started me on this show. And Flip Wilson's the only other guy that I ever said started on the CARSON show. You know, and you hate to get like, thank you, Johnny, thank you. You know, I've thanked you many times, you know. Oh, boy, did I thank you. But you were always a great guy. You always kept saying, did you thank me? And Ed always, good old Ed, always backed it up by saying, did you thank Johnny? And my whole life has been thank you. And now I tell you guys, I don't need you.
You got your own
That's
show
the old
sailing
joke.
along?
You don't need it. But I got news. You need everybody in this business. But you have signed a $3 million deal to appear here once a week.
No, what do you... No.
And with a clause in if you're moody, maybe. Because Ed told me that. He said, what a deal he's got. Huh? I got to sit on the couch like a moron, and I was a colonel. Guy was only an ensign. Boy, if World War II'd start again, he'd start saluting me and do that old trick again, you know. Shining the old apple, you know. Tell him what you told me, Ed, how you fed up and you want to get your own show. Guy wants to walk out. Speak up, Ed. Let him know it here and now. We are fed up, right, Ed?
Right, Don.
Ed, control yourself. It's a joke, Johnny. Let's get up and do our usual thing, Johnny.
Hey,
we'll tell you later.
did you serve aboard ship when you were in the service?
Yeah, I was on the AGP-13. We did 2 knots an hour. The Japanese at that time came in and went, oh, look at that. And all of us went, to your gun stations, and we went, the other way. No, being...
Did you rise in a rank in the service? You went in as a seaman, trying to seaman.
What are you, with the CIA?
I just...
Am I up on some sort of charges?
I've never talked to you about
No, you never
your,
did. You were
your,
like, all right, let's get
your
down.
service
But may
record.
I ask you in rebuttal what you did, okay? I'll tell you. First of all, I went to Sampson, New York. Where were you stationed?
All over. Cherry Point, North Carolina.
So was manure, but that don't make it a station.
What do you want? We all over.
Well, the Charlie
You
Hero
got
we
one
got on our
base?
hands.
How many bases?
Da-da-da-da-da-da. He's home, folks. Welcome him back. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. He's home. All over. What do you think he and I were doing? He was an ensign going, I wet my pants. And I was a seaman first class going, I don't like fighting. And those other guys went, over here. And Japanese, you are my dear friends, really. I got no...
How many do you know?
Huh? Well,
How many Japanese do you know?
I never knew. I saw one prisoner at the time of the war, and they are now our dear friends. In fact, I love them so much, my kid has all their toys.
I didn't know.
But, Don leading host, 1-0.
That's right.
But, really, I tell you, I was frightened to death, but it was a great experience. You have 2 kids, 2 fine sons. 3. Was that in a trailer camp?
That was it.
How many kids you have?
I have 4.
They're going to phone you in the morning. Anyway, and I have two. Yes. And I have one in the Philippines. But, hey, the war was on. I was lonely. I ran after a truck. What did I know? You want candy? Like a dummy, I stopped. But,
I think my original question was, did you rise above Seaman First Class?
His original question, right.
Yeah.
No, I never went beyond Seaman First Class. Primarily because I wasn't bright enough. I put myself down a little bit because respecting Newhart and you, college, I never went to college. I always dreamed.
Well, I didn't mean to bring I wasn't
No,
bringing you down by saying.
No, you didn't bring me down. I'm saying it myself. I mean, I need help, doctor. But I always respected education. I really did. I came up from middle-class America without having too much of education. In other words, I was the only guy during the Regents in high school that was caught doing this, and the teacher said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm cheating." And the teacher, who was a lot of fun then, had little boils on the neck, one of those teachers, and went had a beer and said, "You're thrown out of the class." And I blew it. And I went to Newtown High School, and I was the head of the Dramatic Society. And there's a lot of fallacy about actors, that we skip around, the stories. When we were kids, as an actor, in Nebraska, they didn't have those. You never saw a guy, skip in the woods in Nebraska. Oh, you did, huh? I can't picture that. Sam, where's the tractor? But, I didn't know. I thought they were too busy milking all the time. But you're a colonel. Wake up, huh? Battle stations. Ooga, ooga, ooga. I know you. You were saying, "I'll be with you in a minute, Alice." But anyway, well, he was married once. Hey, guys, don't face reality. I'm married to a lovely Barbara, really. I'm going to go home tonight. She'll probably be in heat. They're always in heat when you are not ready. Isn't it the truth? I can see now, "Hi, pussycat," and I got to go by the bed and go, "Meow, meow."
Are you still doing that ridiculous game?
Yeah, one night I was a werewolf, but that got out of hand. I know where it is.
Okay.
Cheer up. Go ahead. Read the commercial and think of the $6 million on you.
We'll be right back. How about
So
that?
rich. You're so rich.
I'm looking forward to Ray Bradbury joining us here. He is one of the most popular and outstanding science fiction writers in the entire world, and there's a long list of credits, including here Fahrenheit 451, The Illustrated Man, The Martian Chronicles, and the book has been adapted, The Martian Chronicles, and to a stage presentation that is currently being presented at the El Rey Theater right here in Los Angeles. Would you welcome, please, Ray Bradbury. Supposed to be Martian music, right?
I think so.
They have not discovered an orchestra yet on Mars. Oh, it's good to have you here, really.
Yeah, last time I saw you was at JPL about a year ago.
We went out there, and I took son Tim over there to watch the, it was a Mariner...
The second Mariner landing, wasn't it?
Landing on Mars. That's where
Stayed
they had
up
a little...
most of the night to watch, yes.
They had a little problem. It was absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had never been over there before, and Carl Sagan says, "Why don't you come over and watch it sometime?" And it baffles me that they can do things like that so many million miles away, and then the computer takes over, and it's out of their hands completely.
Well, it's wonderful. I've enjoyed knowing Carl Sagan and Bruce Murray at Jet Propulsion Lab over the years, because they're the bright ones, and I'm the one that has to try and interpret what's going on. It's not easy.
And that's the problem sometimes. When did you first become? Were you a kid when you got involved with?
Yeah, I started reading Jules Verne
Yes.
when I was 8 years old. And the great thing about this is that all these years later, this next summer, I'm going off to France to participate in a celebration of the French government honoring Jules Verne's 150th birthday.
It should be fascinating.
Well, I consider that I'm his son in a way, and it's only right that I'm going over. So, but Mars has played a big part in my life.
That planet itself has probably had more fascination for people because, and now that we've landed there, is the jury still out on whether there is some kind of life there? I know when they first landed and they got these readings in the gas chamber, they were getting some strange readings and thought they were biological readings, and then they thought it was a chemical reaction. And since they've only landed in two spots really so far, Is there still some possibility there might be some form of algae, fungus?
Oh, I think so. Sagan's coming out this week. He's going to be on with you this week, isn't he?
That's right, on Friday,
So
I
you
think.
can double-check it with him.
Right.
He's going to come out. I'm doing The Martian Chronicles, my play, here in town at the All Ray Theater, and I'm inviting Carl Sagan over to see it to get his reactions to our fantasies.
Yeah.
And but this goes back into my childhood with collecting Buck Rogers also, reading all the science fiction magazines, Science and Invention and what have you. The very first thing I wrote when I was 12 was about landing on Mars. So it's kind of wonderful that I've grown up with what started as a huge love and a hobby, and I wind up doing a play, writing a book, and next year here at NBC, by gosh, a 6-hour special miniseries on the Martian Chronicles.
Hey, that's wonderful.
So we're looking for a director now.
I'm glad to hear that.
Wonderful?
Well, there's been the fascination lately, of course, with all, I guess, Star Wars, Close Encounters, and I guess it goes in cycles where people become involved again in reported flying saucers. What's your personal observation? I know what Carl's is and Asimov's on. You know, a lot of people, how do you explain the people who claim that they have actually met people and been on spaceships? And these are people who seem to be, some of them, intelligent people and don't seem to be making things up. Did they do that, or do you think it's a hallucinatory experice, or what?
I'm very open. I think most of us are, aren't we?
You have to.
You have to keep your mind totally open, because I don't know about you.
Hey, Ray, I'm open.
No, but you know what I'm saying. There are intelligent people who say, hey, we were out here, we saw them, we talked, and yet there's not one shred of what they say called hard evidence to support it.
I guess the way to put it is this. I say, if strange creatures in the last 9 years have landed on the moon, and they have, then the other is possible, creatures coming the other way. If we're moving out into the universe, and we're going to be colonizing the moon in the next few years, we're going to be colonizing Mars. A wonderful thing happened at the first Mars landing. I was on the Today Show that morning at about 7 in the morning, and Roy Neal turned to me after the first photographs came in, and he said, well, how do you feel now that the first photographs are in and there's no life on Mars? And I said, fool, there is life on Mars, and it is us.
That's right.
We're going to be the Martians from here on in. That, to me, is tremendously exciting.
Yeah, I guess the possibility of life is, people always assume that life is going to be like we are on other planets, and the probabilities are that it will be nothing.
No, all you have to do is go down and look into the ocean, don't you?
Right.
And see.
You do.
I hope when those people do show up, you are the first one they meet. That will boggle their minds when they go back and having to explain what's going on down here.
That will kill it right there. Huh, Don?
No, what I was trying to ask you, Ray, was do you feel personally that we are being observed? Now, a lot of people believe that. I don't understand if that's so, why they don't contact us. They could do that. They have to have the intelligence to do that because they have to be more technologically advanced than we are. Why wouldn't they simply say, hey, we're observing you, here we are, would be no threat to them?
Unless they're thinking of the bacterial threat, or unless they look down upon us as we look down upon other creatures on our world, which is ridiculous because we should honor all life forms. We're all sharing the same experience, aren't we? No, I don't really think they're that close to us at this point, but I think that we'll make the contact going out during the next 100 years. We can't travel fast enough right now to reach it to Alpha Centauri.
That's right.
But we'll be increasing our speed. Most of the people I've talked to the last few years say it will be possible, let's say 200 years from now, to make it to Alpha Centauri at almost the speed of light.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get into just for the fun of it and talk about the concept of the time dilation a little bit, because that's something that it's very difficult to comprehend, and yet is a scientific fact as you approach that speed of light about the time collapsing. Can we discuss that when we come back a little bit?
All right, far enough. We'll try anyway.
We'll be right back. What we brought up, and I don't know whether, I'm certainly not equipped to explain it, but it's a scientific fact, as Einstein proved as you approach the speed of light, which they say is finite, nothing can go faster than light, everything slows down. Everything becomes smaller, relatively, right?
Supposedly.
Supposedly. The object itself, the people, everything becomes smaller, and time becomes slower. In other words, clocks physically slow down. So somebody could go to another planet, come back here in 20 years, and maybe 500 years would have passed on Earth, and yet the people who made the trip would only be 20 years older.
Supposedly, yes.
Now, that's a boggling concept.
I don't pretend to understand it. I would like to participate in it because I'd be curious to come back every 100 years or every 500 years to see what we'd be up to. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yeah, Ray. Having Ray back every 100 years would be a kick.
What would happen? I asked Carl this one night. I asked Carl about what would happen as a science fiction writer if you ever explored the possibility if they find something else that is faster than the speed of light. Now, they say that's impossible.
Well, they said breaking the sound barrier was impossible,
right.
too.
Now, what would happen to the whole physical world and mathematics in general if they found that you could go faster than the speed of light? What would that do?
I think we ought to ask Arthur Clarke or one of those super geniuses to write a story on that. Maybe they've already written it and we haven't read it. Or Carl himself should do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm the sort of person that goes out to Caltech, or I go to junior high schools, and 12-year-old kids come up to me and say, well, Mr. Bradbury, the Martian Chronicles? I say, yes. On page 112 of the Martian Chronicles? Yes. You have the moons of Mars rising in the east? I say, yes. They say, no. Because they don't. That's incorrect, and I've never corrected it. I've never gone back. Children are telling me about this all the time.
Why is that, Ray? Like, my son is 7, my son Larry, fascinated by anything with Buck Rogers or science fiction. We as adults are fascinated, but why are youngsters so fascinated? It's
because they're growing up the same way we did. It was just beginning, all of this talk in the old magazines when we were children, reading Popular Mechanics. So we are the children of the time. Jules Verne really was our uncle, our French uncle. And H.G. Wells really did inspire us with films like Things to Come. When I was 15, I went to see that with the first moonshot in it, with Cabal standing there and saying, which shall it be? Do you stay here on Earth and die, or do you go off into space to live forever? Well, the answer is you go off into space, don't you?
Yeah, I remember as a kid reading Buck Rogers. Now, they were talking about Buck Rogers of the 25th century, which is quite a ways off, and already a lot of those things, as a kid that we thought were absolutely crazy and impossible, have already taken place. So he was really behind his time in a way, wasn't he, by several hundred years?
All those people, Phil Nolan, Dick Calkins, John Dilley, who invented it, and his son, who has now taken over the Buck Rogers Enterprises. But, well, that's the great challenge, of course, not only to predict futures, but to see if you can prevent them by being some sort of, I don't know, a moral instructor. That's what Jules Verne was, wasn't he? He said, you can go around the world in 80 days if you want to. Give it a try. Get on a desert island somewhere and become a half dozen Robinson Crusoes and see if you can survive. So on the mysterious island, he does that. Right. And you come out feeling proud. And the moral pressure is very gentle. But then you go and invent things and humanize the inventions and change all of us. So we're in the midst of that, and it's tremendously exciting.
What will be the philosophical consequences? I think it bothers a lot of people. If all of a sudden you make contact with another civilization, it bothers a lot of people from the standpoint of religion. In other words, that we could communicate. And all of a sudden you make contact with a civilization really is going to make you feel very strange, isn't it? I mean, cause a lot of...
It'll be like going into St. Peter's on a summer afternoon, that wonderful feeling you have of being in a cathedral like that, or the ending of Close Encounters. What you really have is the flesh of God moving one way, and our flesh moving this way, and they make contact like the portrait of Adam and God on the Sistine ceiling. That's a wonderful moment when the electricity leaps back and forth. And I think we will burst apart with pride at being part of this universal experience. I don't think it will diminish us. It will make us excited and want to live forever. So I'd love to live to see that happen.
Yeah, and I assume that we hope that those people may have found solutions to a lot of problems here maybe thousands of years ago.
Well, maybe
we are still battling and have learned to solve it.
Simply by arriving, maybe they'll teach us that we're 5 billion people with a single skin around us. And if they teach us only that, then the encounter will be worth everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great. When you start exploring the universe, you get into distances that are so mind-boggling that you can't conceptualize it. But a lot of people believe in the closed state of the universe. Some people say the steady state theory. Some say it's undergoing transformation. Things die and new things are born. What do you feel? That it's a constant under process of things created, stars?
It's much too big. And what you try to do is pick it up, if you can write a decent poem or a play or a story, and turn it into a metaphor that we can turn over and look at it and try to make sense of it. That's the most that we can do. But even if you talk to Carl Sagan about this, he would, I think, reply pretty much the same. We simply don't know. They have theories, and the theologians have faith. And between the two, an immense ignorance.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, you'd say, well, when you talk about infinity, and they say, what is infinity? Well, it goes on forever. And you say, well, something can't go on forever. It'll come to an end. Then the next question was, okay, it comes to an end. What's beyond that? And you're back to the...
I guess the best answer is if we believe infinity goes on forever, we should want to go on forever with it. We're very privileged to be alive in the universe. We represent the life force here. So why not follow infinity out as far as it can go and ensure our own immortality that way? That's great.
If you had your choice of what period of history you'd like to be born in, would this be the period? Is it right now?
I feel I'm very lucky to have been born right now and grew up to be part of all this and to be present. I was in London the night we landed on the moon for the first time.
I don't remember
and
that.
to weep with happiness and joy for all of us that night.
Remember those
because it's
pictures on television?
the greatest night in the history of mankind, that night.
Yeah, Doctor.
If I may say,
Sure.
my only claim to fame is my wife and I, Barbara, we were at ringside, so to speak, watching Gene Cernan and his crew take off for the moon, and that was the most exciting thing in the world, and I never believed I'd be able to tell my children someday. It was just breathtaking, and these guys have such great courage. Speaking of that, how come, in your opinion, Ray, that the moon program has been, and I know that we have many problems in our great country, but how come, we must explore, how come the moon program is like in a downhill?
There's a failure of imagination, a failure of will, which I don't understand. Our president doesn't seem to care about it, which I'm very disappointed in. We need this kind of idealism to help us rise above the problems we've had the last 20 years. We've done so many things incorrectly, and when we do a thing right, I should think we'd be celebrating it more. I don't understand NASA. They don't know how to sell themselves to the people. So the budget has gone down year after year, and we've got to put it back in proportion, because it's 1/10 of 1% of the billions of dollars that go into the military. So less arms to all the other countries of the world and more into rockets. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I'm all for that. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. If we have Carl Sagan on tomorrow, maybe we can both make arrangements while the Martian Chronicles plays here to come over and see it some night. I would really...
I'd love to have you there.
Because I know you're taking it down in the college.
Yeah, next fall we're taking it to 80 to 90 colleges all around the country. And I'd rather be there with all the kids in the colleges than on Broadway.
They'll have some questions for you.
Absolutely, they will.
Ray, it's been fascinating. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Donald, you were a riot tonight, as
Thank
usual.
you, John.
And tomorrow night?
May I say goodnight to my mother in Florida?
You
Stay
certainly
well,
may.
Etta. Love you.
Thank you. Good night. I'm humbled by that applause.